Will Howard headed home to Pennsylvania, started his career at Kansas State, now at Ohio State, coming to Penn State as Ohio State's starting quarterback. And I love these stories of dude who's clearly a really good player, grew up the fan of the home state school, didn't get the time of day from them, and wound up being really good. And now he gets his chance. That is Will Howard this weekend. And Ari, I think Will Howard is one of the most important players for Ohio State because, as we've talked about all week, Ohio State has an offensive tackle problem. It may have an entire offensive line problem. I went back and rewatched the Nebraska game yesterday and paid special attention to the offensive line. And, was it because Josh Simmons, the left tackle, went down in the Oregon game? And we're going to talk to Jim Nagy about what that meant and how important he was. But Zen Mikulski, the replacement, he just got battered on social media after that game. And I was like, was it really that bad? And it wasn't great for him. He ended up getting hurt too. So we'll see if he plays this week. But it was the entire line. It wasn't just Zen that had a tough game against Nebraska. The entire line did. And I think Will Howard's going to have to try to make up for some of that, maybe with his legs in this game, in terms of either getting out and keeping plays alive so he can throw the ball down the field to those incredible receivers they have, or just helping the run game with some yardage on the ground.
Yeah. I have an opinion about the Will Howard quote from after the game on Saturday, and I was going to write it, and I was just like, I don't know that I should write this, but I'm going to tell you what it is. My thought is, you are 10 minutes removed from nearly losing to Nebraska on your home field, and you go up into the news conference and go, well, I can't wait to go to Penn State. I wanted to play there. They didn't think I was good enough. Well, we'll see next Saturday. Like, I'm just tired of hearing Ohio State players talk. Don't talk. Just go do something. Like last year, when all these players came back, they're like, we're going to right the ship. It's just like all this like promises. Ryan Day on last week, we're going to, play with energy. We're an angry team, tells the people at the Skull session before the game, today isn't about words, it's about actions. And it's just like time and time again, they come up short. Go do something. And then after the game, tell us about how they didn't want you. Don't do it before. Just go win the game and do something.
With Will Howard doing that, because I don't think Will Howard is an Ohio State player. Like, I still think of him as a Kansas State player. So
no, I know, but it's just like you hear like Ohio State does a really good job of talking. Like, honestly, they say a lot of what they're going to do, and they haven't really done much. So it would be nice to see them do something first and then gloat about it after, rather than the vice versa. So we'll see. I can't wait. Like, it's an important game for Will Howard, and I think that he's going to have to lift his team up. I think he's a very good player. It's a very big game and an important spot for both teams.
Well, let's talk about Will Howard in terms of Prize Picks. Our friends at Prize Picks, the best daily fantasy game in America. Download that app. Use the code Staples. Play $5 and get $50 instantly if you're a new subscriber. This is a really interesting number, I think. His passing yardage number is 224.5. Will he throw for more than that or less than that? I'm not as worried about that one as his 14.5 rushing yards number. So this one's interesting because it seems low, especially for a guy who's pretty athletic. But remember, sacks get backed out of your rushing total.
Makes it tough.
I think it's got to be more than this for them to win. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point because you're baking the sacks into that, right? Like, he doesn't get sacked a lot.
Yes.
Okay. So I see what you're doing there. I think that makes sense. Like, if he has positive rushing yards or gets the 15, then that means that, he didn't get his butt kicked all day. Although he could get sacked 7 times and then break off 160-yard run. But I guess what you're saying makes a ton of sense to me. And
also I watched Chip Kelly's press conference yesterday, and he was answering questions about, because somebody asked, like, can Will Howard help more in the run game? And Chip Kelly's trying to explain how the read option works. Like, Will's just making the read, and the read has been give the ball to the back, which they have not had a great, they didn't have a lot of success against Nebraska, just giving the ball to the back. And Chip came out and said, he's like, it's not like with Tebow, we're not running QB power here where the QB is definitely running the ball. Like, it needs to be the read. So I guess it probably will depend on how Penn State plays them as well.
You know, Andy, he's only rushed for more than 14.5 yards 3 times this year.
Yeah.
Sorry, he's only done it once. My bad.
No,
he got to 14 twice.
Yeah. It's gonna be very interesting.
I actually like the less than number there, if I'm being honest with you. But between
I think
sack potential and the fact
how
that
you
he might
feel
not
about
be
the
running.
game.
Yeah. I don't like that number at all. I think that's a little high. So yeah, but it's a very big game for both teams, and Will Howard avoiding pressure, maintaining his eyes downfield, moving the sticks with his legs, all that stuff's going to come into play. And I think that these numbers that we're looking at here, Andy, whether he eclipses them or not, is going to go a long way in telling us the story of who's going to win this thing.
I think you're exactly right. I'm very excited. We're going to talk about Will Howard a little bit and a lot of these other players in the Penn State Ohio State game